Luna says, I enjoy reading books about folk tales or gripping nonfiction. Can you recommend any good reads on Iranian culture or social narrative? Also, I'm open to general good read recommendations if you have any in mind. I actually don't. The stuff that I read are mostly factual and maybe scientific, philosophical, the stuff that I like to research, stuff that I like to ponder. They maybe 100 years ago scholars, not the recent ones, always 100 years ago scholars such as Mr. Jiddu Krishnamurti, and the depth of his discussion with psychologists, with quantum physics professors, exploring the movement of mind. These are what really interests me. And then the work of Dr. Schwartz about his presentation about the potential of the brain, and that you're not the brain, you're not your thoughts, which this has been suggested and studied, researched since hundreds of years ago, but science has recently been able to come to that conclusion through their detailed laboratory tests and experiences. In specific, one of the experiences are the experience of Dr. Grable, Anne Grable, that one of her students at MIT did by name Carl Smith did a study on rats about the neuroscience of habits and how important that is to realize the relationship between that experiment and the way our brain functions and then affects OCD and interrupts the natural and normal function of the brain. And when it malfunctions through its signaling system and intrusive thoughts is involved, then the obsession, the compulsion, the dopamine center, the reward center, then the goal finding center, then the habitual center, all on the same area called striatum, and then they all get to become a habit, and then suddenly your whole control is off course. These are some of the things that I'm interested in, and I've been researching for that sort of stuff, different angle of it for years, studying. Started in university in Aikido, martial arts, meditation, understanding mind and body coordination, and these are the things I liked to understand, the stuff that seems to be beyond us, but it's there to help us. So I studied research to know me, to know human being, to learn that secret that makes us all go crazy, and what it is that can help us not to go crazy, because every one of us can go crazy if we really don't understand how powerful we are and how we can turn that power that can go rogue into actually healing ourselves and become alert and aware of the reactions and actions and overreactiveness of the brain and what it does to us, so we won't be actually misled thinking that this overaction is actually normal and we believe it and fall for it, and in fact lose control of ourselves and who we are and our identity by falsehood of the thought and the brain activities. So the stuff that you're asking, I don't. Like, I liked reading about Nikola Tesla years ago, the most important inventor in the world, which they're still hiding his inventions, and destroyed his lab when he had found a way to offer electricity throughout the world free of charge, forever. They destroyed his lab. So you can figure out what kind of world we're living in. It's all about stupidity and money. So the freedom is not in becoming part of them. It's in understanding how powerful you are and how free you can be, so you won't be bamboozled or manipulated by the outside or by your own head. So these are the things. Otherwise, if you want a book like a poetry of the literalies of Iranian Saadi and Ferdowsi, these are famous in the world. My father gave me a book of Saadi when I was 17 years old. I still have it somewhere. I hardly read it, but that was something I guess he wanted to instill in me, and the idea of it did. Whether I read the book or not is irrelevant. What it was a direction he put in my head that I expect you to indulge in literature, in reading, in knowing, in research, in thinking, in pondering, in analyzing. That was the message I think was given to me. It wasn't a book, it was a direction. A book is a direction. That this is what I suggest, the path that you take. I didn't know what that was. Now I know. So just pick up any book that you think it's interesting to you to learn something about it. That's all I have to say about that. Unfortunately, I don't have a real good answer for you. These days, I'm mostly involved in figuring out some things that can help people to unlock their minds, and which I think I have contributed quite seriously during the past 3 months with the tremendous number of, I would say, valuable 20 videos among the 50 some odd videos in the playlist Intrusive, Transient, OCD, HOCD, Negative Thoughts. I feel everything that we are doing, first we got to understand this. This is the most important, to know yourself, to know how you operate, to know the glitches, to know your powers, to know your limitations, to know the malfunction of the brain, and do not ever think that you are represented by thoughts and thoughts of actuality and that thoughts are you. Do not. Once you do that, you're gone. You are a slave. You're at the mercy of something that you have no control on, and it itself has no existence. It just picks up neurons here and there, suggestions. 80, 90,000 thoughts a day. You don't want to fall victim to that shit. So to me, that's what my focus is. But what you're doing is good. You got to know all that stuff so you can protect yourself for future relationships.